Welcome to another episode of the JR&Skipps podcast. Today we're going to be talking about the Premier League. The Premier League is back, baby. Starting with the Arsenal versus Coventry matchup. Dominant display from the champions. Oh my God. Anyways, let's get right into it. What did you think about the performance from Arsenal, and was it like a throwdown to the entire league, letting them know that they're going to be picking up from where they left off this season?
I think, yes, we can call it that. But to be honest, I wouldn't say beating Coventry 3-0 is a warning to the rest of the league. I think the 3-0 against City was an indication that, look, we're coming, baby. Well, as you said, it was total domination from start to finish. But the fact that Coventry had their first shot on target in the 85th minute tells you all about Arteta's style of play. Basically wants to strangle the opposition and make sure that they don't even have an opportunity to play anything. Well, I don't want to get ahead of myself, though, because as you said, it's Arsenal Coventry. This is a team that was playing in League One last year, and now they're in the Premier League. And it was kind of good to see Chelsea's legend, Super Frank Lampard, in the mud once again at the Emirates. So it was really nice to see. So I think we should just jump into the game. Let's touch on the guys that really impressed us. I think Christian Tzolis was outstanding, man. So I'm just going to throw that
That's
to
the
you.
sound of the Tzolis.
Whoop. Yeah, so what did you think about Tzolis in this game, though? What are you saying?
I mean, I think he has carried on his preseason form into the Premier League. He looks like he is hungry. He's always attacking space and trying to create something. I think that's the kind of mentality you need from a new signing. He obviously has like a different level of hunger compared to the rest of the squad. It looks like he's eager to prove his effectiveness and how important he can be to the team. And yeah, I was really impressed with his performance as well.
Yeah, man, absolutely. That song is going to be a banger in the Premier League. I can't wait for us to sing it at Old Trafford. Well, I guess we're going to see. Well, it kind of says a lot, though, for a player to come from Club Brugge and he already has Martinelli's shirt. So that just tells you that either we're lacking a lot on that left-hand side, nothing against Trossard, but Tzolis coming in and already has the starting spot on the left. That kind of tells you that we really needed an upgrade in that position. So in terms of moving to other positions, let's go into the number 10 position. I think Captain Fantastic is back, baby.
Oh my God.
I'm not sure what else I can say, but Odegaard is looking like a man reborn.
He scored a fluke goal, my G. He scored a fluke goal.
I'm not even talking about the goal. All you need to do is kick the ball. Whatever it does to go into the back of the net, no one really cares. I'm talking about the performance, the dictating tempo, passing through the lines, game control. Odegaard was looking like the Odegaard we had about 2-3 seasons ago. So it's still the first game, but I'm hoping this form continues. So what did you think about Odegaard, though? What are you saying?
When I watched the game, I saw that Arsenal had a lot of dominance in the midfield, but in my mind, I gave more of that credit to the effective pressing from the defense, right? I think Mosquera and Gabriel, they held the high line well, and they reduced the amount of spacing behind the midfield. So Coventry were unable to get out. And I think, to your point, that gave the midfield players like Odegaard the right platform to be able to dictate tempo and more effectively. Not taking anything away from Captain Odegaard's performance, but I'm just saying, like, don't gas the under, man. It's Coventry, bro. Like,
Okay, no problem. Well, I think you touched on something really good there in terms of how the defense were pressing high, man. The high line was crazy on that game. And I kind of found Christian Mosquera's performance really impressive, considering that we just signed as Reconsa. So there's obviously going to be a selection headache in that back position, even putting him there when Saliba comes back. So it was good to see him showing that he's ready to fight for his position. And still speaking about fighting for your position and giving the manager a headache, Lewis Kelly, man, what are you saying?
Oh yeah, like I think this is another player that's letting the manager know that I will not fade into the night quietly. In Bruno G's absence, he's managed to let the manager know that he's capable of doing the job and not just doing it effectively, right? 2 back-to-back decent performances against Premier League opponents, first against Man City in the Community Shield and now against Coventry as well. So the kid has shown that he can hang with the big boys, and like you said, is a welcome headache for the manager, Arteta. Yep.
Absolutely. There was a pass he gave Calafiori, some kind of similar to the pass in a Community Shield, but this was not on point, but it's basically showing that he has what it takes to provide those defense-splitting passes when required. So I think that's been good enough in terms of covering the Arsenal game. So let's not spend the whole pod talking about the champions. Let's have some chat about Man United versus Hull. I heard United got mauled at the Tigers. What are you saying?
Carrick Ball had a very, very horrendous
Carrick ball,
outing
man.
on Saturday. And yeah, I won't say worrying signs at this moment, but it just follows from the observation we had after the preseason game with AC Milan, where I told you,
Yep.
there was some worrying signs in the setup. Certain players looked off the pace, and I think they brought that messed up mentality into the opening game against Hull. And I think rightfully, all were deserved winners of the game, even though they didn't really create too much. I think they showed more hunger and a little bit more sharpness than the United players. What was your observation from the game?
I think the game was sort of decided by two set pieces, which is concerning for United because we
Yep.
know the
Yep.
Premier League is a very physical league based on what
Mm-hmm.
we saw last season. And we can
Yeah.
expect there to be more of that this season. So you
Yeah.
guys are going to need to show up at the back and be more physical. Otherwise, you might end
True.
up playing a lot of good football and just end up being on the losing side due to
Down
one
by,
set
by,
piece
by a
or
set
two.
piece or two. You're right. I
Exactly.
agree. I agree.
Another point that I noticed in the United game, I felt the game was too open. In the first 10, 20 minutes, it was more like a basketball game and you attack, all attacks. So I'm like, man, these guys need to put this game on lock, otherwise something's going to happen. And then I think we had the McBurney header that Lamens saved. And I think Lamens made another save. Yeah, that was a cross shot. And then
Yep.
it kind of felt like you guys were getting one that if you don't get your stuff together, you're going to concede. So
And
when
it
I
happened.
saw Ajayi, which is actually, I think, Frank's cousin, put the ball in the back of the net, man, I went crazy on my couch, and it was really nice to see them score the number.
Surprise, surprise that you were happy that United conceded. Surprise,
Man, you
surprise.
guys got mauled by
Yeah.
two set pieces.
Yeah. But I agree. I agree.
Yeah, well, still on the game though, it kind of looked like Carrick was maybe being too loyal because starting Dogo ahead of Rashford, I found that kind of amusing. What are you saying about that decision from Carrick?
But yeah, to your point, I think reintegrating Rashford into the team is still a touchy point for some United fans, given how the last 2 years have gone for him. So I think that was Carrick just taking the measured approach. If Rashford had started the game and the results had ended up the way it ended up, he would have been a bigger scapegoat. And so to your point, he just showed a little bit of loyalty to the players who were there when Rashford wasn't there. But you could see that he was willing to correct his mistake. At halftime, Dogu was substituted for Marcus Rashford. So I think going forward, I think we might see Rashford be the player that starts, then maybe Dogu be the one to try and take the position from him. And also to your point about United being a little bit too open and the game being end to end, I think Kobe is the type of player that dictates tempo in that kind of match. And I think the expectation was for Tielemans to do the same, but Tielemans was so off the pace and so many times he underhit so many passes. He was shrugged off the ball physically. I think he gave away the foul that led to the second goal. I mean, I don't want to say it's worrying signs yet because it's just the first game of the season, and maybe not only Telemans, players like Bruno, Konya, they looked off the pace, so it looks like they've not really gotten into the rhythm of match sharpness, seeing as some of them were playing in the World Cup and all. But yeah, so I think as more match fitness returns to the squad for players like Rashford, Mainu, Bruno, and Telemans, we might get less of that end-to-end football. But for the first game against Hull City, that was very, very sad to see. I do agree. Yep.
Okay. Well, speaking about match fitness, on a side note, I heard Tillemans was looking like chunks, but I'll just leave that for you to, you know, I'll leave that for you, my G. So let's go to the blue side of Manchester. Narrow escape at the death. And Maresca still looking shaky after the loss at the Community Shield. Man, I don't know what the tactics really is, man. He kind of had a Gay, Rico Lewis in the midfield. He played O'Reilly as a 10, Foden on the wing. It just felt like everyone was all over the place. So do you think he's trying to be in the diet Pep? No, he is trying to overthink, or is he just trying to show that he needs players? Like, what's the idea? What's going on at the Etihad?
I didn't watch him closely at Chelsea, but from the
Okay.
few matches I caught, I think this is kind of like what he does. He has his unique way of setting his teams up, and I think eventually he finds a way to get them to produce the right results for him. So to your point, I think this is a new coach coming into a team and trying to see how he can use certain players in different positions. He's lucky he got away with it because they got the victory at the end. If they had ended up losing, we probably would not have been too forgiving with him. But I think this is the time for you to play your best players in your best positions, right? And we can see how that happened when Ryan Cherki came into the game and did what the creator is supposed to do, which is create opportunities, and he also created a chance for the winning goal, right? So I think we can cut him some slack for now and say this is a new manager just trying to find his team and trying to see how certain players adapt certain positions, but it was lucky he got away with it. Let's just leave it at that.
Man, yeah, he got lucky, but if I want to be a little bit honest, I think Haaland missed a host of chances that on a good day he would have buried.
True,
So
true, true, true.
yeah, just maybe that game wouldn't have been as tight as we saw it,
As
and
he
he
ended
could have
up being,
just,
I agree.
yeah,
I
he could
agree.
have run away with it. So let's go to Liverpool Newcastle 2 to draw at St James Park. Man, Liverpool drew at the death, man. I think this guy just got lucky, and to be honest, it would
Yep.
have been nice to have another top 16 with an L.
Yeah, it was a
You know,
bozo moment from Lewis Hall. This is why they need to sell him
bruh.
to United. Come on, come on, come on.
Yes, it was a bozo moment, but I think Lewis Hall had a very good game,
I
and
know he did. He had a very tiny
who
game.
was the guy on the right? Was he Ngumoha or something? He had him in his back pocket all game, and I
Yep.
think it was till they brought that new signing Victor Munoz that sort of.
Monox, yeah.
I think he had like 2 dazzling runs, and the second one is what led to the last minute penalty. So
Penalty. Yep.
maybe let's not take too many shots on Lewis Hall, especially knowing that you guys want to sign him. So you don't want to be bashing your proposed future player, but
True, true,
um.
true.
But what we're saying about Newcastle, though, this is the first game by their head coach, first ever game in the Premier League. From
Mm.
what I saw, I think I found them impressive because considering how many players they've actually lost in this transfer window, that was kind of a good performance, and we can only expect it to get better. So, what are you saying about Matthias Hansel in the Premier League?
Well, yeah, like you mentioned, I think it was a very decent outing. Liverpool did not look as fluid as we expect them to be with signings like Verts and Isak. And we can't just chuck it up to say Liverpool had a poor day. We also have to give some credit to Newcastle as well. They lost
Absolutely.
significant parts of their team, and they were still able to put up a decent fight. And players like Ilanga, Joe Willock, they stepped up when they were needed, and Wissa as well. It might be a good, encouraging sign for Newcastle and their fans to know that they might not have all their players, but they have a manager who's ready to dig in and grind and give them something to work with. And to your point, take away from the last minute disaster by Hull, they probably will have coasted to a victory there. So, yeah, big ups
Yeah.
to the Newcastle team. Yep.
Okay, so I think in summary, we're saying Raola needs to do more work. But just before we wrap up on this Liverpool Newcastle, I think there was some guy that was lacking cojones talking about Alexander Isak. So you're a
Hey,
£130 million signing. You have a last minute penalty kick at St. James Park after getting booed for 90 minutes by the home crowd. And then you let Szoboszlai take the penalty kick, man. What are you saying? Do you think this guy is just a bozo or he did the right thing leaving it for Szoboszlai?
yeah, I couldn't understand that cowardly decision by Isakaba. I mean, this is like you said, this is you returning back to your former hunting ground and you've been
Yeah.
getting jeered all game. This was a moment for you to stick it to the fans. I'm not saying rub it in their face, but just let them know that I used to be your gunman here, so put some respect, eh? And yeah,
No,
even
that.
the even though Szoboszlai is the designated penalty kick taker for Liverpool, I think
Yeah.
in situations like that, the 130 million signing should be showing more confidence and saying, give me the ball. I trust myself to put it in the back of the net and also get myself firing for the season. Would have been a very good confidence booster
Yeah.
for a player that missed majority of last season due to injuries, just to give himself that confidence and let the fans know that he's willing to be the main guy to go to for goals. But yeah, like you said, it was a very cowardly decision from him. But yeah, long may it continue, I guess.
Long may it continue. Well, talking about long may it continue, I think the banter club of the Premier League are continuing in their honorary tradition. Spurs got battered by Brentford 3-0,
Oh my
got
God.
stung by the bees like crazy.
Deserving got
Man,
dismantled.
really dismantled, man. I don't know what's going on that Italian man's head. So what's going on there though? They spent probably the highest amount in transfer fees in the Premier League this summer, and yet you're having a midfield starting with was it Begval or something, man? I started Begval, the the London Prince. So what's going on with the Zerbi? Is this gonna be another horrific season for Spurs, or do you think once there are new signings in terms of Mamouche and Savinho coming, that it's gonna be a different ballgame?
Yeah, I think too. We had this discussion when they wrapped up the purchase of Tonali and Matheus Fernandez, where we said those are very decent additions to the midfield, but the squad
Yeah.
as a whole was thin, right? And they needed more additions. And like you can see, they've been super busy in the market as well. I think they need some more addition to the attack and also to the defense as well before we can see a more concerted effort from Spurs. I sympathize kind of with the Zebi. Big signings don't afford you the grace when you take a loss. People don't want to dissect the matters and everyone expects you to perform magic. But I think whilst they made 2 decent additions to the team, they need more reinforcements before they can get back to the heights that we know Spurs can hit. But for now, it's nice seeing them where they are and being the banter club that they are.
Bro, I'm always gonna be happy to see Spurs in the mud.
Of
So
course.
I
Of
really couldn't
course.
care. It's another opening the expensive door for them. So long may that continue. So still on London derbies though, we had another London derby this weekend. Fulham versus Chelsea.
Mhm.
Honestly, it hurts me to say, but Chelsea ended up with a 3-2 win. Zabi Alonso looking good. I think we can touch upon Zabi Alonso, but I think let's just jump into Chelsea's front three in terms of João
Mm.
Pedro, Cole Palmer, Morgan Rogers.
Yep.
Man, it's looking frightening, my G. I think this is
Yeah.
going to be something we can look forward to for the rest of the season. What are you saying about Chelsea's front three?
I would say frightening is pushing it, but yeah, I do agree. Like they look like they can be a problem
Yeah.
for many teams in the Premier League. They are young, they are technical, and they are willing to make runs off the ball, and they can punish you with a pass and the killer finish as well. So it was really interesting seeing how they worked out. I think it was nice for Morgan Rogers to get a debut goal, nice confidence booster for him as well. And Cole Palmer getting involved in the creativity right off the bat. Hopefully, we can see the Cole Palmer of a few seasons ago and not the one we saw last season where he struggled for impact and creativity to help the team. So yeah, I think good start for Zabi Alonso, good start for the front line as well. And it was a London derby, and going to Fulham and winning is no easy feat. So yeah, kudos to the team.
Yeah, you're spot on, man. Going to Fulham and winning is not easy. And I did find it interesting seeing two former Real Madrid managers.
Exactly.
Yeah, you kind of look like a vibe. And even at the end of the final whistle, the way they hugged each other, like my G, that kind of stuff. So it
We're
was
in the
good to
Spanish
see, though.
trenches together.
I'm telling you, man, it was really good to see. And
Yeah,
still speaking about Chelsea, I think one of the advantages they're gonna have is the one game a week for this
true.
season. From what we can see in how United benefited from it last year, Chelsea not having to worry about Europe all season and having all that star-studded talent. Man, they literally brought up Morgan Rogers and brought in Giovanni Quenda. I've never seen that guy play, but from what I've heard, he's another wonder kid. So I'm really hoping he flops and he doesn't get to perform in the league. But man, that's a serious squad because talking about the
Yeah,
replacement on the left, they took out Palmer and
that's a
so
vibe.
it looks like you have a lot of options and they didn't even bring in the Danny Welbs, Henderson and Co. And they're still looking like a well-oiled machine, even though it's just the first game. So as much as I like to see Chelsea fail, when you see good football, you have to just give them the props because this was
Good
an
football is pushing it. Good football is pushing it. But yeah, when you see promising signs, you got to give
okay,
them big
promising
ups.
signs. Okay, I'll
Yeah,
leave it at that. I'll leave it at
yeah,
that.
exactly,
Okay, all
exactly.
right. So I think it's been a good wrap up on our Premier League weekend. I guess we're all happy to have the Premier League back and exciting weeks ahead. It's gonna be some very tough games in the next couple of weeks. And the guys are gonna be back here reviewing the games and giving you our honest banter opinions. So please remember to hit the subscribe button, follow us on social media platforms. It's JR_Skipps on Twitter and JR_Skipps_podcast on Instagram. Tap in.
Hey, yo.
Okay.